There's one other thing that I wanted to get to on the show today, and it's twofold because it has to do with the same team, and it could, in some way, shape, or form, impact your team, your town, your Philadelphia Flyers. Now, first, if you missed this, okay, I'm just going to go to the part that really matters, and we're going to take the sound off here. It got announced today, officially, that there is a new brand for one of the National Hockey League teams. It is one that I think a lot of people thought was ultimately going to be the winner. And that, of course, is that Utah will no longer be the Utah Hockey Club. They finally have a brand, and that brand is the Utah Mammoth. Now, they're not the Utah Mammoths. They are the Utah Mammoth. And then you can see the branding here. I think the branding's actually pretty nice. I like the color scheme. I like the alternate logo that has the Utah state lines. You have salt white, mountain blue. I forget what they used for the black color. They added an adjective to it. But if you look at the logo, it's got the mammoth, and it also has the mountains on the left side. So it's a mountain range, and you got the mammoth coming out of it. Now, there is part of me that feels like, oh, that looks like it was an AI-generated logo. But I have to tell you, it's a sharp enough logo, and it almost makes me jealous. So they have, tusks up. Now, I'm not saying that the Flyers have bad branding. They don't. Now, what is a Flyer? No one actually knows. And I think that the orange and black is a good color scheme, and it's sleek. Now, there are other teams in the NHL that I think have really, really shitty branding. And, there are some that I think should absolutely go back to, retro stuff. You can never convince me that Vancouver should not go back to the Flying V jersey. It is so hideous and majestic at the same time. There are teams that I think are better off going back. I think the Sabres going back to the retro jerseys, with the actual buffalo head on them and the red and black and that color scheme would be great. Or keep the current color scheme, which is actually pretty nice, and just go back to the idea of having the buffalo on the jersey, going that way. Maybe fuse the two together. But the Utah Mammoth is okay. I still think it's weird that it's a singular noun and not a plural one. So we have that part of Utah. And why do I bring up Utah beside just being the Mammoth? There's one other thing to kind of keep an eye on. Now, if you followed the NHL draft lottery, specifically if you were one of the many people, over 1,000 people across all platforms, who watched the show live the other night, you will know that Utah was not able to jump all the way to number 2. They won the second lottery. The most you could move up is 10 spots, and Utah moved from 14 to 4. And there have been these murmurs out there that since the lottery was instituted, no team is traded out of the top 5. There's the idea out there that perhaps Utah, who did not expect to be in the top 5, Utah might be open to trading out of number 4. Now, they're not going to go from number 4 down to number 12 or 4 to 14. But it makes things really interesting if you're a Flyers fan because, as Flyers fans know, the team has 3 first-round picks and 4 second-round picks. And if you're looking to put together a package that could be enticing, let's just say, for example, that there's a player that gets to number 4 that you didn't expect. Michael Meese is not going to fall to 4. Let's just say he somehow did. Or there's somebody else that you think will not be there by 6, okay? If you're the Flyers, do you go to Utah and say, listen, you can have number 6 and the Colorado pick, or 6 and the Edmonton pick, and then maybe you throw in a second as a sweetener to move up 2 spots because you do the calculus in your brain. You go, listen, that Edmonton pick isn't going to get us a first-round pick next year. That Edmonton pick isn't going to be enough to get us to move up if, in the unlikely scenario, a Roger McQueen falls. I'm going to continue beating this drum until it happens and manifesting it. But maybe you say, that Edmonton pick isn't going to be worth as much as you think it is. And so you say, Edmonton pick plus 6 gets you up to 4. And Utah, who didn't expect to be there, is yeah, it's fine. We know that we're going to get one of the players that we didn't expect to get anyway. And they go, it's still a second first-round pick. And Utah could still use that additional asset. Is that something that's enticing to you as a Flyers fan? I think it should be if the Flyers have a guy that they think will not fall to 6, but they want to sweeten the pot to move up to 4. This is where having all that draft capital could honestly come into play in a big, big way. Utah, to me, is the only team right now that I could see be willing to move. There is no chance in hell the Islanders are going to say, oh, yeah, we'll trade back from 1 to 6. That's not happening. They'll stay where they're at. And nobody else was able to move. Obviously, just the way that it goes. There were only two teams could really move up. So you had the Islanders move up. They're not going to trade out of number 1. Utah at 4 is very, very interesting. Very interesting. Now, all that's to say, I have no idea if it'll happen. I expect that Danny Briere will work the phones and will probably try to get something figured out. And if there is a possibility to move up, he'll explore it. I keep saying this, again, manifesting it. Imagine a scenario where if you're the Flyers and you can't move up to 4 and you get to number 6 and like a Frondel somehow falls. Or there's say like an Eklund is there and you decide that that's the guy that you want to go with. Or you really do love Denoye and he ends up becoming your pick at number 6. And then you do watch a guy that you didn't expect to fall, whether it's McQueen or somebody else, and they fall to number 15 and you're the Flyers and you still have those other 2 first-round picks this year. That could get interesting. That really could. Like, will a team move out of like the 15th pick or 16th pick in exchange for 2 later first-round picks or one of those and your pick next year? Now, I've seen people throw out this idea, and I don't totally disagree. There are people who now say, if you're the Flyers, under no circumstances should you trade your first-round pick next year, even if you think you're going to be a playoff team or close to it, because let's say you just missed the playoffs and you're going to pick 15th. Well, we've now watched 2 teams in Utah and the Islanders jump up 10 spots and 9 spots or whatever. You don't necessarily want to be the team that traded away your first-round pick, and then that pick jumps, leapfrogs, and you could have gotten a really valuable player next year. So I understand the thought process behind not wanting to trade their own first-round pick next year. I'm just saying, I think that the Flyers are going to be very active, very, very active on draft day. And I think they have some young guys that they might be willing to move off of as well.